is there any significance to the 27th night of Ramadan specifically? And this is what I want to address bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, and I want us to actually see it from the lens of the community of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, we see all of these narrations about the special nature of the last 10 nights. And then you start to find some narrations that suggest something very interesting, that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam pushed harder as the end of Ramadan came closer. So for example, there's a very beautiful narration from Nu'man ibn Bashir radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. He says that we prayed with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam one year, and it was the 23rd night. And we prayed with him until we finished about a third of the night in prayer. And then that same year, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam stood up and he led us in prayer on the 25th night. And we prayed until we finished about half of the night in prayer. And then he said, we prayed with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam on the 27th night of Ramadan. And he said, we prayed with him until we thought we were going to miss suhoor. So you have these narrations, right? And here's a very interesting narration, one that causes a lot of ulama to come to a conclusion about this 27th night of Ramadan. And here's the scene. Who was the first Khalifa to gather the people behind one Imam for Taraweeh? Umar ibn Khattab radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. What was the name of that Imam? Ubay ibn Ka'b radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Who is Ubay? Ubay radiyallahu ta'ala anhu is a man that the Prophet ﷺ said that you should take the Quran from him. He put him in a category of Ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, Salim mawla Abi Hudayfa. He put him in that high category of people to take the Quran from. That is Ubay ibn Ka'b radiyallahu anhu. Ubay is the person the Prophet ﷺ told, Allah commanded me to read Quran to you, to read Surah Al-Bayyinah to you. And Ubay radiyallahu ta'ala anhu said, Ya Rasulullah, Sammani, wait a minute, Allah said my name? He said, yes, Allah said your name. And he started to cry. So he is a companion who reads the Quran the way that it should be read, who lives the Quran, who received the Quran from the Prophet ﷺ. And so he's leading the Sahaba in Jama'ah, in Taraweeh, within a decade of the death of the Prophet ﷺ in the masjid of the Prophet ﷺ. Ubay was the person who said, I swear by Allah that Laylatul Qadr is the 27th night. You see now why it's so significant? He's not just some companion, it's not just a hadith. It's from an authority, particularly in Quran, an authority in Ramadan, a person who has high ranking amongst the Sahaba, who says, I swear by Allah that Laylatul Qadr is the 27th night of Ramadan. I heard it from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that the 27th night is Laylatul Qadr. If you're sitting in the masjid of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and it's Ramadan, and Ubay radiyallahu ta'ala anhu stands up and he says that, isn't that going to land in your heart in a certain way? It will, right? Subhanallah. Another narration, by the way. An old man who came to the Prophet ﷺ and he told the Prophet ﷺ, Ya Rasulullah, it's hard for me to do all these last 10 nights. The Prophet ﷺ told him, seek out the odd nights then. He said, Ya Rasulullah, I can't even do all of the odd nights. فَقَالَ لَهُ عَلَيْهِ الصَّلَاةُ وَالسَّلَامُ عَلَيْكَ بِالسَّابِعَةِ. Then make sure that you catch the 27th night. It's an authentic narration as well. What do we take from all of this? Well, first and foremost, Ubay radiallahu ta'ala anhu is being truthful. No one doubts the authority of Ubay radiallahu ta'ala anhu. However, the question is it the 27th night every single year, or was it just that time that the Prophet ﷺ was telling him that? Another possibility is the Prophet ﷺ was saying that the 27th of the last 10 nights is the most likely of the odd nights on a recurring basis to be Laylatul Qadr. That's also a possibility, right? The practical benefit of this is that Ubay radiallahu ta'ala anhu did not only show up to lead Qiyam on the 27th night, even though he thought it was 27th night, for sure. He would lead the Sahaba every single night. He didn't leave his i'tikaf. You also don't know if your odd is even or your even is odd. The moon sighting. You don't know. The last 2 nights of Ramadan. This is most likely going to be a 30-night Ramadan. The 30th night. Seek it until its last moment. Every indication is that the Sahaba only picked up their worship as the last 10 nights went along. One of the things that you see happen, and it's natural sometimes, is that after the 27th night, everything kind of dips. It's like we get into Eid mode right after the 27th night. No. We have a few more precious nights. We still have the 29th night out there. And the 30th night could be Laylatul Qadr too, because the odd could be the even and the even could be the odd. Let's push ourselves, inshallah ta'ala.